After hearing the doorbell ring, she slowly pulled herself from her bed. She got her walking stick and shuffled towards the door. It was the contractors coming back to finish the job they had started. After letting them in, she sat back down on the couch to try and cope with her migraine. Then they called her with urgency. Kathy Watson grew up in Shelbyville, Indiana. She lived a relatively active life and was now at the age when things slowed down. She was 41. But it wasn't just her age that had her feeling so old. 10 years prior, she had suddenly fallen ill. She didn't think much of it at the time, but her daughter worried. Then things escalated. Kathy felt like she was trapped in a degrading body. Her heart always pounded and her hands always shook, but she had no idea what she was doing. Her flu-like symptoms were ongoing, and after years of going to work like this, she got used to it. But other symptoms started to appear as well. One night while walking to her car after a long day of work, she noticed something out of the ordinary. She saw movement from the corner of the parking lot. When she turned to confront whoever it was, she didn't see anyone, but she still felt a pair of eyes on her. She knew that she couldn't really fight back, but she'd try. She made some tea when she got home to calm her nerves, but she felt that she saw movement again from the corner of her eye. She turned and there was nobody in the room. After thoroughly checking her house, there was no one around. She wrapped her trembling hands around the hot tea and sat down on her couch. But what was going on? She felt that her symptoms could be because of a vitamin deficiency. So the next day she took a cocktail of vitamins. Her daughter Ashley finally managed to convince her to go see a doctor. She took off a few days of work to recuperate, but the illness wouldn't be gone for long. Kathy didn't feel bad until a few days later. She checked the time. She left the TV to go to the bathroom, but when she got back, something was different. The clock told her that she had been gone for 20 minutes when she had only remembered the last 5. When I looked back, 20 minutes had gone by. I was like, what is going on? I then started missing huge chunks of time when I swear that only minutes passed by. Something very weird was going on. Kathy also found that she was always fatigued. She was never hungry, and things only got worse from there. Her daughter kept getting increasingly worried about her. She was going to the doctor again. The doctor couldn't believe that the rest hadn't helped her illness. She should have gotten over the flu-like symptoms weeks ago. Now the doctor was concerned too. Blood samples were taken in the hopes that they would pick up an allergy to something. But an MRI was taken too, just to be sure. But everything showed that she was just a regular healthy woman. Kathy was put on many medications to try to figure if any would help her. They hoped that one of them would do the trick. But it seems that the opposite was the case. Kathy started to feel worse instead of better. She had body aches and could barely keep her eyes open. Then the mystery illness started to take even more of a toll on her mental health. Her friends and family members started to worry. Maybe the illness was all in her head. But no, Kathy knew her body and she knew something wasn't right. Ashley witnessed her mother's deterioration firsthand, and she also knew in her heart that something just wasn't right. Kathy barely slept all night while she clutched her phone close to her chest. But as she finally started to drift off, her alarm beeped. She got out of bed with heavy bones and headed to the shower. Tiredness had come in both forms, mental and physical for her, but still she persisted. Before taking a shower, she checked her phone to make sure she was on time. Again, minutes had gone by that she couldn't account for. Exhausted, she went to work. But as soon as she got there, an immense headache made her its prisoner. She needed to get out of there. She told her boss she was not feeling right and headed out the door. The fresh air hit her face and relieved her migraine a little. Determined to get to the bottom of her illness, she raced home and searched for her symptoms online. She spoke to experts in online chats, and she tried herbal treatments and natural remedies, but nothing seemed to be helping. As time went by, more and more people lost faith in her, and no one could give her answers. She had never felt so alone before. Maybe it really was just all in her head. Kathy visited her doctor regularly over the next 10 years. Dr. Hensley provided Kathy with the best care and tested for everything that she could. She went to great lengths to attempt to diagnose Kathy. She insisted on cardiac testing, chest x-rays, MRIs, of the brain, the spine to see if something was related. But nothing seemed out of the ordinary. I felt we were very thorough but didn't come up with a solution, Dr. Hensley explained. But Kathy was growing sick and tired. Years of the mystery illness had affected Kathy's mental health. It impacted her relationships, work, and most importantly, her quality of life. Tension grew in her face and limbs, and her mind played out every possible scenario of what could be happening to her. Her breathing had become rapid and shallow. After 10 years of frightening symptoms, she decided that if no one could help her, she would help herself. Kathy desperately needed a distraction. She needed to do something for herself to take her mind off her illness. So, Kathy decided to treat herself to a bathroom makeover. She had plans to create a sanctuary by remodeling the entire bathroom. She arranged for contractors to take care of the job. But shortly after, they made a shocking discovery. The contractor's forehead crumpled with concern when he asked Kathy when her water heater had been installed. Kathy knew that it had been installed years before she had gotten sick, and Ashley must have been a little girl at the time. She thought hard and replied, "Maybe 10 years ago." The contractors were horrified. They had discovered that the furnace and water heater, fitted incorrectly, were causing trace amounts of carbon monoxide to escape and leak into the house over an extended period of time. But isn't carbon monoxide poisonous? Deborah Blum, director of the Night Science Journalism program at MIT and the author of The Poisoner's Handbook, says the carbon monoxide explanation fits. Blum explains, you might get headaches, you might feel a little groggier than usual. And depending on the chronic exposure, you can even become mentally off, cognitively impaired in some ways. And Blum adds that, because carbon monoxide poisoning involves oxygen deprivation to the brain, it is possible to hallucinate. Carbon monoxide is colorless and odorless, invisible to the eye. This makes the gas a silent killer. When the body is exposed to it, the gas displaces oxygen in the blood, and this causes serious damage to the heart, brain, and vital organs. Even a small exposure to CO can cause chest pains, fatigue, nausea, headaches, and vertigo. Some cases of CO poisoning even result in death. But how had she been misdiagnosed again and again? So after years of searching for answers from specialists and healthcare professionals, Kathy had lost hope. But now, Kathy's decade-long symptoms suddenly all made sense. The most unexpected visitors had finally given her an answer. "I was shocked," she exclaimed. Kathy had been suffering for so long from an unexplained illness, and it had left her in the physical condition of an old woman. But how could she ever thank them enough? Over the years, it kept getting worse and worse, Ashley explained. When she heard that finally there was proof of her mother's ailment, she was overjoyed. Now Kathy would be able to function like a normal human being again. After years of her mother being bed-bound, they would now be able to do all the things that they had missed out on, like going shopping or going out for dinner. But could she ever forgive the doctors after all the years of neglect? Kathy hasn't felt this good in years. She got so much more than just a new bathroom from the contractor. She got her life back. She's thrilled to have her body, mind, and spirit healed. "I feel great," she said. "I haven't been this happy and I can't tell how long." Kathy is well on her way to recovery after all the years of being exposed to poison, but there is still an element of concern to this story. Kathy wishes that she had pushed harder for a diagnosis. She had been called crazy, delusional, and a hypochondriac for a decade because the tests were negative. She was prescribed the usual bed rest, exercise, or pills, but nothing helped. No one could give her the answers. But Kathy was right to trust her instincts. Even though she had to wait for 10 years for an answer, she is grateful. Kathy looks forward to her newfound energy in her new life, and she hopes that her story will raise awareness about the dangers of carbon monoxide.